calling that very first over. I didn't really know why Bangladesh came out to bat. It seemed like a bit of a waste of time to me, and they've lasted one ball. Sharaful Islam's out, so that is the end of the Bangladesh innings. They're all out for 310, and so just running through the scorecard for those of you that missed it. Mamadou Hassan Joy opened the innings with Zakir Hassan, and the first to go was Zakir Hassan. He went for 12. He faced 41 balls before he was bowled by Ajaz Patel. After that, there was a partnership of around 60 between Joy and the captain Shanto. Before Shanto was dismissed when the score was 92, he was caught by Williamson off Glenn Phillips, who was a bit of a surprise selection in the New Zealand side, selected to come in at number 7, and he ended up essentially becoming a third spinner. So Shanto went on his way for 37, and then Phillips was the next to strike again when Momnul Haq went also for 37, caught by Tom Blundell, the wicketkeeper, off the bowling of Glenn Phillips for 37. That was 3 for 180. After that, it became 4 for 184 when Mushfiqur Rahim was dismissed when Williamson took his second catch of the innings off the bowling of Ajaz Patel, with Rahim disappearing for 12, and that brought Shahadat Hossain to come to the wicket while Joy was still there. And they battled on until 210 before Mushfiqur Rahim was dismissed. In fact, I'm sorry, I've got that slightly wrong. But anyway, Rahim went with the score at 5 for 210, and he went for 12. And after that, the next wicket to fall was, in fact, Mahdi Miraz. And I think what I've missed here, and sorry, forgive me, listeners, I think what happened was that Mahmoud Hassan Joy actually, he must have retired hurt at some point, because something doesn't quite stack up with the scorecard. But anyway, be that as it may, or perhaps I'm just not reading the scorecard correctly. One way or the other, I see now. I've read the scorecard wrong. But anyway, that doesn't matter, because this is very much a trial period. I don't think too many people are listening at the moment, and I think the most important thing is that what we all need to know is that Bangladesh has been bowled out off the first ball of day 2. They're out for 310, and they faced 85.1 overs. For New Zealand, Tim Southee took 1 wicket, Kyle Jamieson took 2 on his return to the side, Ajaz Patel took 2, Ish Sodhi got 1, and Glenn Phillips got 4. So it's just time for a short break between the innings, and I'll take a little bit of a break from commentary, and I'll be back with you all very, very shortly. Okay, and welcome back. So the players are back out on the field at the stadium in Sylhet. And it looks like it's going to be Sharaful Islam, the 22-year-old left armour. Quite a tall man is Sharaful. He's going to be opening the bowling, and he's played the 8 matches so far, 15 wickets and an average of 34, so that's quite a handy start to his career for a young man. As I say, he's very tall. I noticed at the end of the innings that he was standing next to the other Islam and there was a significant height difference, and yeah, he really stands out as a very very tall man on the field, does Sharaful. And it looks like it's going to be, well, there's 2 New Zealand left-handers. I haven't quite picked up who's going to face the first. So it looks like it's Tom Latham who's going to face the first ball. Here is Sharaful bowling to Latham, and that's outside the line of leg stump. Latham whips it off his pads, down behind backward square. There's a good piece of fielding down there, but it doesn't it wasn't fast enough, the man down there in front of the lovely sun umbrellas, to restrict the scoring to 1, and Latham was able to come back for 2. So probably a bit of a loosener there, and Yeah, it was very good fielding there on the boundary. Just cut that. It could have easily been 4. Here's Sharaful again, bowling to Latham, and once again it's on leg stump. And this time Latham whips it away just in front of square, out to the boundary for 4. So just far too easy. You can't be bowling there at the start of an innings to a batsman of the calibre of Tom Latham. So Sharaful, he's looking to get the swing, and there probably was a little bit of swing there. He's trying to move it away from the left-hander, but he's starting it too far out the side the line of leg stump, and that was just too easy for Tom Latham. So he moves to 6 off 2 balls. New Zealand 6 without loss. Of course, Devon Conway at the other end, who normally takes the first one on one-dayers, but it's Latham this time, once again facing Sharaful, and this time he's edged this one, so Sharaful's having the worst bit of luck. It goes between third slip and gully, down to the boundary for 4. So you've got to feel for the young man, Sharaful. He bowled a couple of really bad ones. That was a genuinely good one. He found the outside edge of Tom Latham's bat, but it went between the gap between third slip and gully, raced away for 4. So Latham rockets on to 10 after just a few balls, and he settles over his bat once more. Does the Cantabrian, the left-hander, of course son of Rod Latham. He was a right-handed batsman, but equally as short. Here is Sharaful. This one's on the line of leg stump, and this time Latham is defending up to mid-on, and there's no run. So Sharaful persisting with this line. It's clear there is some swing there for him, so it's just a question of can he put it in the correct position. And I think to start with, he's trying to start too far outside leg stump. That one was a better line. It was on the line of leg stump, and Latham was only able to defend that. So still 2 balls left in this over. Here is Sharaful once more. This one's outside the line of off stump. Latham lets that one go through the keeper, and there's no run. So Bangladesh has got to be pretty happy with that the score they've set. Not so much a target, but an initial score, 310. They scored their runs at a pretty good rate, and they managed to get through to stumps, which was a great effort, although 5 overs weren't bowled last night due to bad light. Here's the last ball of the over. Sharaful bowling to Latham once more. He leaves that one outside the line, goes through to Sohan, the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. So after the first over, quite an eventful one. It's New Zealand 10 without loss. Latham's on 10, and with him is Conway, yet to score and yet to face a ball. Very, very pretty ground, this one in Sylhet. It's surrounded by beautiful forest on more or less all around the ground. There's a very nice aerial shot on television. It looks like it's a fair way out of the city. I've been to Bangladesh before, but I've never been to Sylhet, and it looks like a place to go. So it's going to be Mahedi now. He'll be bowling the second over, off break. So this sort of makes me think of back to the time when Chris Gale hit the first ball of a test match for 6 off a Bangladeshi off spinner. Well, this is not the first ball, it's the 7th ball, and it's not Chris Gale, it's Devon Conway. So spin after the left arm quick, we've got spin, so it's a right arm round the wicket to Devon Conway. So he probably wasn't expecting spin right from the start of his innings, but that's what he's got, and he safely negotiates the first ball, and there's no run. Here is Conway once more, facing up to Mahedi. This time he just plays it gently into the covers, off the back foot, and straight to the man there, and there is no run. Mahedi getting through his overs very quickly. This time finds the thick outside edge of Conway's bat. He managed to just deflect it into the gully area, really, I guess you could say. It wasn't a genuine edge, and it bounced, and it was actually well fielded in the end. That probably could have gone away for a run, but it was well fielded. So Conway stays there. Here is Mahedi once again. This time Conway's on the back foot and plays it slightly awkwardly into mid-on, and there's no run. So here's Mahedi, the right arm off-break bowler. This one's a much fuller ball to Devon Conway, and he's defending that one gently out to point. 86 kilometres an hour, that ball from Mahedi. So bowling at a fair old clip there for an off-break bowler. Certainly faster than I bowled my off-breaks, or still do. But then again, I'm not really a professional athlete. Here is Mahedi, and Conway's defending this one. There's a large appeal for LBW. There's a shake of the head from the umpire. From my initial reaction, I didn't think that it hit the pad, first at least. But let's see what the Bangladeshis do. And yes, with 1 second to go on the DRS timer, Shahanto, the captain, decides to go for the review. So this is the first. Of course, they get 3 reviews per innings, and let's see what happens with this one. Here is Mahedi just looking at this replay again. So he angles the ball into Devon Conway. It doesn't turn. In fact, it did hit the pad, but I'm fairly certain that it hit him outside the line. He got a decent lunge in forward. Not a big one, but decent. I'm pretty sure, given that it's an off-break bowler bowling to a left-hand batsman around the wicket, I'm fairly certain that won't be given out, because I think it's hit him outside the line. So irrespective of whether it's hitting the stumps or not, I'm pretty sure that's going to be given not out. Have a look at it now. Ball tracking. Yeah, I think it's hit him outside the line. So can't be given out when in that situation where the ball strikes you outside the line when you're playing a shot. You can't be given out. So Devon Conway survives. He's yet to get off the mark, and that is the end of the over. So after 2 overs in Sylhet, New Zealand 10 without loss. Latham is on 10, and Conway is on or yet to get off the mark. And it's a maiden over for Mahedi. So here's the first ball of a new over. It's Sharaful coming in again, left arm over the wicket, bowling to Latham once more. And this time, we're just having a look at the replay of the previous decision of Conway, and just looking at the replay, it hit him well outside off stump, a full ball's width outside off stump. So you'd have to say actually that was probably a pretty bad review, a bit of a waste, you might say, especially in a test match. So you wouldn't say Devon Conway was lucky to survive. Here is Sharaful bowling to Latham again. This one is just outside the line of off stump, but angling in. Latham's defensively forward, and there's no run. Not quite sure why they're showing so many replays of this. It clearly hit him outside the line. I'm not quite sure why the local TV channel is showing it for a 3rd time. The umpire was in no doubt. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Here is Sharaful. This time it's Latham. That one had a little bit of arc in it, swinging away from Latham, and went through to the keeper. And the TV is still showing this replay of this LBW. I don't quite know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to pick apart Bangladesh's captaincy or their strategy? I'm really not sure. Seems a bit pointless to me. It never looked good in the first place, and perhaps that's the point they're trying to make the people on the television. Here's Sharaful once more, left arm over the wicket, and this time it's on the line of middle stump. Latham is defending an angled ball, 137 kilometres into the leg side. It's picked up on mid-wicket and there's no run. Here's Sharaful this time. It's outside the line of Latham's off stump. It goes through to Sohan and there's no run. Just looking at this pitch, it's a very unusual colour. It's very grey and sort of looks, I don't know, a bit like mud really. Not a blade of grass on it, but it's the colour, should I say the discolour. It looks a bit awkward actually, and not quite sure who that might assist. I imagine the batsman. Here is Sharaful once more, and there's a bit of shape on that one. It's outside Latham's off stump, a good 1.5 foot or so outside his off stump, and he lets that one go to the keeper. That's the end of the over, so it's a maiden over from Sharaful. So it's a good comeback after the previous over, which conceded 10 runs. So after 3 overs, New Zealand trailing by 300 runs, 10 without loss. Latham is on 10, and Conway is yet to score. Here's Mahady beginning a new over, and this time it's played away behind point by Conway. He's able to get through for a single, it's well fielded there, and Conway's off the mark with 1. It's going to be Latham to take strike to the next ball. This is marking his guard. They all seem to do that even though they're asking for exactly the same guard. It's either going to be middle leg or middle off or leg, I guess. But they all seem to make their own mark. So Latham has a short leg in front of him to keep him on his toes to the right arm off spinner. And he defends that one exactly where the man was standing at short leg, and there's no run. Little bit of turn there for Mahady. Here's Mahady bowling the second one, and Latham's defending that one. So there's 2 slips in place alongside the keeper. So it's not the most typical start you'd expect to a test match, but Tom Latham's a very experienced customer in subcontinent conditions, and he lets this next one go through to the keeper once more, and there's no run. This time Latham's on the back foot, so a slightly shorter ball, angling in towards his legs. He's defending. and there's no runs. This is a good over so far by Mahady, keeping the pressure on Latham, even though Conway got a single earlier in the over. And Mahady bowls the last ball. Latham comes forward, defends the short leg, and there's no run. So just having a look at Tom Latham's Test career, his overall, well, he averages different amounts against different teams. South Africa is the one he struggled against the most. He only averages 9.8 against them. And from there on in, it sort of gets better, really. He's got a very good average against Zimbabwe, not so good against Australia, only 26, but very, very consistent overall. And his best was where he scored his most runs at the highest average is against Sri Lanka. He averages 69. He scored 139 runs. And in the case of Bangladesh, he actually averages 93. 10 matches, or 10 innings, 744 runs. So here's Sharaful beginning a new over, this time to Conway. And Conway's kind of playing around his front pad, as he tends to do sometimes early in his innings, Devon Conway. Plays that one into the slip region, no danger of being out. In fact, it may have hit his pad because the DRS time is on. But in fact, it hit him in the body. Hit him very, very high. Hit him in the body, so no danger of being LBW there. So here's Sharaful, left arm over the wicket, close to the stumps, and it's on the line of the stumps, and Devon Conway just defends that one back to the well, not to the bowler, but it was picked up by mid-on, and there's no run. So just recapping, Bangladesh was out off the first ball of the morning, all out for 310. Tim Southee taking the last wicket of the man that's bowling now, Sharaful. He was LBW to Southee. So just one ball for the Bangladesh innings, and then New Zealand came out to bat on this very grey looking pitch. Here is Sharaful, bright sunshine, bowling to Conway, and this time it's slightly short of a length, and Conway takes his hand off the bat, and maybe it just rose slightly and struck him perhaps on the glove. Just looking at the replay now, it's angling in, very nice seam position there, and yes, it hit Conway on the glove, but he managed to keep the ball down, so no danger of getting out. And a nasty blow on his left glove there, so Conway will just need to take a moment or two to recover from that. Here is Sharaful once more, bowling to Conway. This one's outside of the line of leg stump, sails through the keeper Sohan, and there's no run. Sharaful was a very tall man, certainly I guess by Bangladeshi standards. He reminds me a little bit of Mushrafi Murtaza, who was in the side. He was a right arm bowler compared to the left arm Sharaful many years ago when I went to Bangladesh. Here's Sharaful once more, and Conway's perhaps beaten outside the line of off stump. He went hesitantly forward to that one, didn't really play a shot, and there's a little bit of movement here from Sharaful. Very nice seam position. He has clearly bet the bat. Actually went past Conway's gloves there. There's no run. Here's Sharaful once more. This time Conway shoulders arms to a ball outside his off stump. But there's no danger of being dismissed, and that's the end of the over, end of the 5th over. So after Bangladesh conceded 10 off the first over, they only conceded 1 off the last 4. So after 5 overs, New Zealand are 11 without loss. Here's Mahady beginning a new over, this time to Latham. He just pushes that one defensively into the offside. In fact, it goes slightly behind behind point, I should say. It's picked up its second slip, and there's no run. So Latham, with the sunscreen on his face, he's defending this time, and just pushes it back to Mahady, and there's no run. Here's Mahady once more, bowling to Latham. This time he's on the back foot, playing with an open stance into the offside, and there's no run. So Mahady, the off spinner, is creating quite a bit of pressure into his 3rd over, bowling around the wicket, and this time Latham's forward. There's another big appeal from Mahady. Will they go for another review? It'd be interesting to see. It didn't look a good shout from the naked eye. I don't think they're going to go review it, and they're not. Shanto decides not to review it, the captain, as we see a replay here. And it's angled into Latham, turning away slightly, and it looked like a big inside edge, I think. A big inside edge. I think that was what counted against Mahady there, and perhaps the men behind the wicket heard it, then Mahady didn't. So here's Latham, and he's forward this time, and that is the end of another over. So 6 overs gone here in Sylhet. It's New Zealand 11 without loss. Latham's there on 10 off 23, and with him is Conway on 1. Just looking at the last delivery, I guess there's a couple of, well, here's Sharaful beginning a new over to Conway, and it's outside the line of the off stump, and once again Conway pushing tentatively forward, and it's through to the keeper, and there's no run. Once again the DRS time is on, but there's no call for review. Just looking at this replay from Sharaful, went outside went past Conway's bat. He did look behind initially, which is sometimes a sign that perhaps he's hit it, but perhaps it flicked his pad, and maybe that's why Sharaful appealed. came to nothing in the end, and here is Sharaful once more to Conway, and this time it's well outside the line of off stump, through to Sohan, the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. But just going back to that last appeal by Mahady against Latham, there was two issues there. One was, did he hit it? And the second issue is, if he didn't hit it, it hit him miles outside the line of off stump. So Mahady's not really doing his captain any favours by appealing for balls that just, he should know this as a bowler. You know, he's bowling round the wicket to left-handed batsmen. They're coming well forward outside the line. You can't be out if you get hit on the pad outside the line. So yeah, not helping his captain there, Mahady. But it's not Mahady now. It is the left-arm fast bowler Sharaful, bowling to Devon Conway this time. He's defensively forward with that dead bat approach that he does so often, and there's no run. Just looking at a few replays here, but Conway really hasn't looked comfortable so far. You know, he's a high-class player, Devon Conway, but his feet aren't really moving yet. He's pushing and prodding, but he's not out, which I guess is the most important thing. And there's no run, so he's only on one run, I should say. We haven't seen that flowing drive that Conway's made his trademark. Here is Sharaful. That one's outside the line of off stump once more. It goes through to Sohan, the wicketkeeper, and there's no run. So Bangladesh really doing a very good job here. Just a reminder, the first over went for 10 runs. Tom Latham took 10 runs off the first over from Sharaful. So it's now 5.4 overs later, and we've got New Zealand's only scored one more run in that time. So this tactic of having the left arm quick and the right arm off spinner is keeping New Zealand guessing. It's Conway on strike once more to Sharaful, and this one is outside the line of leg stump, too far wide. Conway picks that one away off his legs, out to the boundary for 4. So that relieves a little bit of the scoreboard pressure, if you can call it that. But that was just a rank bad ball from Sharaful. As we look at the replay once more, he's looking to get that swing, but that's just too far into Conway's pads. He just worked it away in front of square. There's a big gap at mid-wicket, and it raced away for 4. So that will help Conway, no doubt, and he twirls his bat as we look at the replay, probably thinking to himself, I needed that. And he's got one more ball to face from Sharaful. Here he is now, the left armour, and Conway's defending this time, up to mid-off, and there's no run. So that makes it 7 overs gone now. New Zealand 15 without loss. Latham's there on 10. Conway's with him on 5. Sharaful now 4 overs, no maidens, none for 14. Here at Select. So it's going to be Mahady to continue. He's bowled 3 overs so far, just conceded the 1 run. It was a single to Devon Conway in his first over. It's the right arm off-break bowler bowling to Latham this time, and Latham beats the man at short leg. There's no one at mid-wicket, and so they're able to go through for a very comfortable single. Just get the feeling that Mahady's just bowling a little bit too short here. He hasn't really threatened the outside edge, so whilst he's not conceding runs, he's not really attacking the outside edge of the left-handed batsman. Perhaps there's a ploy in there somewhere. Here is Conway. This time he's driving. Mid-off is quite deep there, and so Conway's able to go through for a single. So that would frustrate the bowler. It would certainly frustrate me if it was me bowling. But nonetheless, Mahadi's got another left-hander on strike. That's Tom Latham, and he plays that way and one into the covers where Joy fields, and there's no run. Here's Mahadi once more. Once again, Latham's on the back foot this time, and he carves that one away behind point. It was just too short. Latham came back on his stumps. It was quite close to his body, but he was able to get in a decent swing, or a late cut, you might say. In fact, it was played with a perpendicular bat, and he was able to race away for 4. So very good timing there from Tom Latham. It probably shows something about the outfield as well. So Latham moves on to 15. New Zealand moves on to 21 without loss. Here is Mahadi once more. Once again, it's a shorter ball, and Latham was able to defend that one back to Mahadi. So yes, I just feel that Mahadi needs to pitch the ball up a little bit here. I don't think he's really bowling to his field. Here's Mahadi. This one is a little bit fuller, and it's an outside edge from Tom Latham. This time there's a man behind point, and he just had to run probably 10 yards or so to cut that one off. And he did so successfully, but it wasn't enough to stop Latham coming back for 2. So that's the end of the 8th over now. New Zealand 23 without loss. Latham's there on 17 and Conway's there on 6. Ground is when you look at the pictures on the television screen, which some people are probably following at the moment around the world, plantation with a cricket ground thrown in the middle. So it's going to be Sharaful once more into his 5th over. He's got none for 14 at the moment. Here he is bowling to Conway, and Conway is playing that off the line of middle stump. And that's a late placement or a late shot, but he just plays it very softly, leans forward behind square. He does it very effectively. He's done it many times over his career. He picks up another single. Latham, that one is outside the line of leg stump, way too wide. I thought Latham got a bat on it, but in fact it's a leg by. So a poor ball there from Sharaful. He's still trying to get this ball to swing, but he's struggled right throughout this opening spell to start the ball on the right line. That was on Latham's pads, or perhaps even outside. Latham looked to play the shot. He didn't connect with the ball. It hit his pad, and it went away for 4 leg by. So bad ball there by Sharaful. He's really got a wicket at the moment, and this will be doing his captain's head in, I would imagine. Here he is, Sharaful, the left armour. And it's again outside the line of leg stump. Latham looks to guide that one away behind square, doesn't get a bat on it, and there's no run. Yeah, just looking at Sharaful's pitch map. Oh, sorry, in fact, sorry, I thought that was Sharaful's pitch map, but in fact it's the New Zealand pitch map. It's Jameson and Southey from day one, first 10 overs. It's quite interesting to just look at that. A lot of balls outside leg stump, both sides of the wicket. So in fact, it's not just Sharaful that's suffering from this, trying to get the swing. Southey and Jameson were just as bad. Here is Sharaful. That's a shorter ball. Latham sways out of the way, kept his eye on the ball the whole way, and passed through as he lowered his gloves through to the wicket keeper, and there's no run. So Latham not looking in any sort of trouble at all here. He's looking very, very comfortable indeed. Of course, this is a change of role for Tom Latham. He's just come out of a World Cup where he was batting number 5, sometimes even lower in the order, because he does his very specific job depending on how his team needs him at that particular time. Here he is facing Sharaful, and once again it's down the leg side. Latham tries to swivel and pull that one away. He doesn't make contact. Goes through to the keeper, and just another bad ball. Not in danger of being a wide from Sharaful, but just not a good delivery. Just not putting Latham under any pressure. It's interesting. We're almost at the end of 9 overs, and I don't even remember a single full ball from any of the Bangladeshi bowlers, whether it be the spinner or the left arm pacer Sharaful. There's nothing threatening the stumps, nothing really threatening the outside edge. Here is Sharaful, and that one's short again. Latham plays that one into the offside to point. There's no run, so that is the end of the over. New Zealand finished that over on 28 for without loss after 9 overs. Latham's there on 17, with him Conway on 7. Sharaful now has bowled the 5 overs. He's got none for 15. Reminding you we're on the second day in the first session after Bangladesh were bowled out off the very first ball of the day, not adding to their overnight total of 310. So New Zealand starting to eat their way into that lead. They're 28 without loss. Of course, Bangladesh making 310, so my math's not brilliant, but New Zealand's about 290-ish, or perhaps 282, I guess that is. 282 they're trailing by. In fact, that's confirmed on the scoreboard. So a good solid start from New Zealand. It's exactly what Tim Southee would have wanted from his openers. They haven't taken any risks so far. They were confronted by an interesting bowling selection at the start with a left arm paceman and a right arm off break bowler. And it's going to be that man, Mahady, the off break bowler, to continue. And he's going to carry on the attack as he has done right from the start, bowling round the wicket to Devon Conway. And he's forward, full face of the bat, to a ball on the line of off stump, and there's no run. This one is fuller from Mahady, but it's outside the line of Conway's pads. He doesn't look to sweep, which he might have done in another form of the game. He actually just defends it up to mid-on, and there's no run. So it's probably the first ball that Mahady's bowled is actually threatening anywhere near the stumps. Here he comes in again, and once again it's a little bit shorter. He's looking to try and straighten the ball and beat Conway's defences, but there's not enough turn there yet, and there's no run. Here's Mahady to Conway, and this time Conway is able to force the ball through the leg side into the gap at mid-wicket. There's no man there. We've got a backward square and a mid-on and a short leg, but no one at mid-wicket, so Conway was able to get through for a very simple single. He moves on to 8 off the 25 balls, brings Latham on to strike. He's on 17 off 33. Here's Mahady bowling to Latham, and this time he cuts. But there's a man slightly deeper at point there. He's a little bit further away, almost giving Latham a single, and probably not a bad move in the end, because he was able to go across to his right, cut the ball off, and it was a good piece of fielding there, restricting the scoring to 1. So that brings Conway back on strike for the last ball of the 10th over. Conway with that familiar stance, and this time he's driving through the offside. Hasn't really timed it. Not huge boundaries in Sylhet, so the man that ran after that he was able to pick the ball up and fire in the return, and Conway was only able to get back for 2. A comfortable 2, it must be said. So that brings us to the end of the over. So good start, I guess you could say, for New Zealand. A safe start, 32 without loss after 10 overs. Latham's there on 18, Conway's on 10. They haven't looked in any real danger. Yes, there's been a couple of appeals for the leg before from Mahady, but you'd have to say nothing's really beaten the bat so far. No chances have been offered off the edge or even off a false shot. So New Zealand looking pretty comfortable at this stage. So Sharaful has bowled 5 overs and under 15. And are we going to see a change in the bowling attack here? Not quite sure. Just looking to see what's going to happen. Perhaps it's going to be Sharaful to continue for a 6th over. In fact, it is. And he comes now, and that's just outside the line of Latham's off stump. He's forward, playing from the crease, covering his stumps, not getting an edge, finding more or less the middle of the bat, and doing what a good opener should do, is just defend it away and keep putting the pressure on the bowler. Say, you're going to have to bowl a little bit better than that to get me out. Here's Latham this time to a shorter ball from Sharaful. In fact, they put a deep square leg out. Perhaps that was part of a plan. Monomal was out there. Latham played that one away in front of square. Monomal came round from behind square to cut the ball off, but it didn't. Wasn't fast enough for Latham to stop Latham coming back for a second run. But a shorter ball is probably the first short ball we've actually seen today. So perhaps it was part of a plan, as I suggested, but Monomal did some good fielding there out in front of the boundary, but Latham was able to get back for 2. So Sharaful mixing it up here. Let's see what he does this time. This time it actually is a short ball. It's a bouncer, which Latham ducks under, and there's no run. So it's a little bit surprising. It seems like Bangladesh is going to employ a different tactic here without actually ever trying to threaten the outside edge, which I know I haven't played cricket to any sort of level like this, but I don't really understand this at all. Like, why would you suddenly start going to a short ball tactic when you haven't even been driven down the ground once? I don't think there's been a run scored. I think Conway got a run to mid-off, but that's it. In 10 overs. Here's Sharaful coming in once more. It's into the body of Latham, and he defends that to point, and there's no run. So yeah, I can't really understand these tactics at all by the Bangladesh opening attack. Of course, Alan Donald's not with them anymore. He was their bowling coach for the last couple of years. But he left the side just after, or during the World Cup, in fact, or perhaps just as they left the World Cup. Here's Sharaful bowling to Latham, and this time he lifts his hand off the bat, plays it behind square, and they go through for a single. Just checking to see what the umpire's signal will be. No, there's no leg by there, so it's 1 further run to Latham, moves on to 21. So yes, Alan Donald, the South African fast bowler, the great Alan Donald, had been the Bangladesh bowling coach for a couple of years, but left the side. I think his contract was going to be up in around about this time anyway, but I don't think he was best pleased about the incident with Angelo Matthews, and that sort of led to his hastened departure. Here's Conway, another South African, but playing for New Zealand. Here's Sharaful bowling to Conway, and this time Conway's fending that one away behind point, and it's time for him to go through for a single. So this is just a little bit too easy here from New Zealand. Bangladesh is giving New Zealand runs. You would expect in the first 10 overs, if you're going to get hit for 4 or you're going to get hit for runs, it's going to be through mid-on, mid-off. But actually, if I'd love to see a wagon wheel right now, I'm fairly certain only 1 run's been scored in the V. That was Devon Conway. He took a 1 to deep mid-off. So in 11 overs, to concede only 1 run in the V, I suspect Alan Donald wouldn't be very happy. And anyway, 11 overs are gone. New Zealand's 36 without loss, trailing by 274. As we see, I was going to say I thought we were going to see a bowling change there, but in fact it's not. It's going to be Mahady to continue. So he's bowled 5 overs, none for 13. Not expensive, but hasn't really looked threatening either. As I've said earlier, I just don't think he's bowled full enough. He's not even given the ball a chance to turn. Here he is, around the wicket to Conway. And once again, it's slightly short of a length. Conway doesn't really need to come fully forward and fully commit. He's able to play it sort of Andrew Jones style from the crease. Defends it comfortably, and there's no run. Here's Mahady again. He's bowling a very consistent line, I'll give him that. He's bowling around the wicket, angling the ball in from not wide on the crease, but with the angle of the right arm bowler bowling into the left hand batsman, consistently on or about leg or middle, but he's not getting enough turn and he's not enticing an edge. This one's much fuller, much fuller, and this time Conway forces it down to mid-on and there's no run. So that's actually a better ball, a bit of a surprise ball. I think it took Conway by surprise because it was much more flighted, probably a little bit slower, and Conway had to dig it out almost, but it was on the line of his leg stump. He needs to be a little bit more wider than that. Here's Mahady, and Conway's defending that one into short leg position, and there's no run. Here's Mahady with the sun shining on the pitch. It's kind of hard to pick up the ball even as a commentator looking at the screen, just to pick up the flight of the ball. It's defended by Devon Conway. No run. He's on 11, 1 ball left in the over. It's Mahady again, and this time Conway's defensively forward, pushing the ball behind point. It's picked up there by Joy. There's no run. And that is the end of the over, and it's drinks. Just looking at what the Bangladeshis are bringing on the field, it looks like more than drinks. It looks like a bit of fruit, perhaps a few bananas, maybe a little bit of watermelon, maybe something else I'm not even aware of. So we'll take a little bit of a break there while we go for the drinks break after the first hour of play. New Zealand 36 without loss after 12 overs. Latham's on 21, Conway there with him on 11. Okay, so the drinks and the various refreshments have left the field, and it's going to be a new over starting, and we're going to see a bowling change. So after 12 overs, Shanto, the captain, has decided to bring a new man into the attack. It's Taijul. It looks like there's a lot of hawks flying around the ground. So here's Taijul, the left arm spinner, very whippy action, bowling over the wicket to Latham, and he's defensively forward to that. Those hawks are magnificent. Beautiful big wings. And let's see what happens with the DRS here. The captain, Shanto's coming down the wicket. I think he's already indicated he thinks it's outside the line of off stump, and yes, there's not going to be a review there. The ball was angling and probably would have gone on to hit the stumps, but Latham was so far outside the line playing a sweep shot, and there's no run. This time it's a shorter ball and Latham's back on the crease. There's no run. As we have another look at the shout, the local TV crew love to show replays of LBW shouts that clearly weren't out. I imagine there'll probably be another one at some point in this over, just to confirm conclusively that it definitely wasn't out. There's Latham, the left-handed New Zealand opener, facing the left arm spinner, Taijul, and he sweeps that one. He doesn't time it at all, probably a top edge, and it's taken it backwards square. The man coming around, taking the simplest of catches, and what a bowling change that's proved to be. Latham looks so comfortable at the crease. You wouldn't say that it was a particularly bad shot. It was outside the line of leg stump. He went for the sweep shot, but he didn't time it and lobbed up in the air, and the simplest of catches was taken by Naeem and Latham. Well, that's a surprise. I just said he didn't look in any trouble whatsoever, but he's on his way back to the pavilion now, and he's dismissed. I think it was 21 he got out for there. That really did come as a surprise. But sometimes that happens when the ball's just a little bit too wide to sweep, and you've got to reach a little bit further than you're anticipating, perhaps with an extra bit of bounce, and he connected okay, but it just didn't quite hit the middle of the bat. So you'd have to say not necessarily a rash shot from Tom Latham, perhaps a little bit unlucky, and he's on his way. Which brings Kane Williamson to the crease in his 95th test match. That's unbelievable, isn't it? 95 test matches. The former New Zealand captain, of course. Just having another look at this one from Tom Latham. It just looped in behind square, and the man was perfectly positioned, Naeem, actually. Whether it was a plan or whether it wasn't a plan, it wasn't a good ball. It was kind of one of those both them balls, hit it and see what happens, and yeah, it worked out. So Latham's gone for 21 off 44. Called it backwards square. Here's Taijul coming round the wicket to the right-handed Williamson, angling into his pads. He defends that one to short leg, and there's no run. So that's the first over bowl by Taijul, a successful one. He's got 1 for none, so it's a wicket maiden. And yes, Tom Latham will be probably throwing his bat against the wall or something about now, thinking, how on earth did I get out like that? But as I say, probably just a slight misjudgment. Perhaps the shot just wasn't quite on. I mean, so many batsmen try all these tricky shots when it's obvious they should just play a conventional sweep. Latham tried to do it then, but it was just perhaps a little bit too wide, and perhaps he was reaching too far around his front pad as Mahady, the right arm off spinner, starts the next over to Conway. It's outside the line of off stump, and there's no run. Well left alone by Devon Conway. He's got a I guess a little bit more pressure on him now with his opening partner gone. Here's Conway facing Mahady, and he drives that one up to mid-off. So that's the second time Conway's managed to get a single, driving the ball to mid-off. I would be filthy if I was Mahady, letting Conway get off strike like that. Really should not have been a single there. It's not like mid-off actually had to move, or how should I say, move left or right, just had to actually come in. So whether that was an intentional placement, perhaps for the lofted drive maybe, I'm not too sure, but it's the second time now Conway's got away with a very easy single to mid-off that probably shouldn't have been there. But it brings Kane Williamson on to strike to face his first ball from Mahady. Williamson's defensively forward to a ball on the line of middle stump, I guess you could say. And Mahady bowling over the wicket to Kane Williamson, the right-hander. It's been here many times, Kane Williamson, with his short sleeve shirt, as he always does when he bats. Here's Mahady, slightly wide on the crease. That one's into Williamson's pads. He plays that one away to mid-on where Naeem is there. He fields this time, and in fact they got through for a single, so it was hard to pick up there because the camera didn't show them going between the wickets, but I thought there was probably a run there. So Williamson's off the mark, he's on to one. That single to wide mid-on, and that brings Conway on to strike. So there's a silly mid-off, silly mid-on, short cover, slip, and then there's Kane Williamson doing some gardening in the middle of the wicket. But of course he's a batsman, so he doesn't count. Here's Mahady gripping the ball, coming round the wicket to Conway, and that one actually did leap slightly and turn, but it was outside the line of Conway's stumps. But that's what I was alluding to earlier. If they can bowl a little bit tighter with that type of delivery, they'll start to put New Zealand under a lot more pressure. And then, of course, what happens the next ball? It's into the pads. So Mahady's line hasn't been great, I have to say. Yes, his figures are tidy enough, and that is the end of the 14th over. He's got none for 15 off his 7 overs. But actually, he hasn't been threatening because his line has just, I won't say I've been all over the place, but perhaps it has. Williamson's there on 1 off 3, Conway's there on 12 off 37. New Zealand are 38 for 1 after 14 overs, trailing by 272. Here's Tygel beginning a new over, Kane Williamson. That one's outside the line off stump. He gets a thickest outside edge and it runs down to the boundary, but it's cut off down there and Williamson has time for 2. So once again it's angled into Williamson, a little bit of turn. In fact, he was beaten. I'll give the bowler credit there. Williamson was beaten, but I think it was the angle of his bat rather than the edge that took it down towards the boundary. But Williamson picks up 2. New Zealand moves on to 40 for 1 in the 15th over. Here's Tygel once more, bowling to Williamson. Very whippy action. and he angles it in from not really wide on the crease, but he angles it into Williamson's, or towards the line of Williamson's middle stump. And after that previous outside edge, there's now two slips, or let's say a slip and a gully for Tygel to Williamson. That one's fuller, and Williamson forces it up towards mid-on, and it's picked up there comfortably, actually. Well, no, perhaps not comfortably, or in fact, no. It was actually a very good effort there by Mushfika, but he actually fell on the ball, and I think he's hurt his shoulder, just grimacing slightly. But he looks okay, which is good news. Here's Tygel. There's a fuller delivery. In fact, it's a full toss, and Williamson casually puts that one away, past wide, mid-on, for with the easiest of gentle strokes. But you can't bowl that sort of rubbish to Kane Williamson. I mean, that was it was knee height, and it just went away for 4. You couldn't bowl that to me, probably. Well, I wouldn't say I'd hit it for 4, but certainly wouldn't be defending it. Here's Williamson again. He's on 7 now, off 7. Here's Tygel around the wicket, angling in towards his leg stump. Look, I'm no expert at this level of cricket, but I really don't understand the line that these Bangladeshi spinners are bowling. I know Tygel's only into his second over, and I know he's got a wicket, but the wicket that he got was from a ball about a foot outside leg stump. This time Williamson's forward to a ball on the line of middle stump, angling that one away to the short gully, and there's no run. It's the end of the 15th over, and it's 44 for 1. So New Zealand going along at a pretty good rate here. Tygel's now got 1 for 6 of his 2 overs. Conway's there on 12, Williamson's on 9. But as I say, I just don't understand the line they're trying to bowl, the Bangladeshis. I mean, you could say perhaps that it's a defensive line, that they're cramping the New Zealanders for room. But you know, if I was the captain, if I was Sayanto, I'd be wanting them to bowl a lot fuller and closer to off stump, try to find the edge. If they go for a few runs, that's okay. This is day 2 of a test match. I'd like to see my bowlers trying to get wickets. 15 overs have gone past now. Here is the new over. It's Mahady once more bowling to Conway, and that's 89 kilometres an hour, so slightly quicker than what he's been bowling so far. And not a bad length ball, actually. And Conway's forward, and there's no run. This next ball from Mahady is defended by Conway to Silly Point, the man under the helmet. There's no run. Oh, and this next ball, Conway fends that one away into the offside. It's pounced on there at a very short point. Didn't quite pick up who actually took the catch. Perhaps it was Joy, but it was a magnificent reflex catch. Conway came forward. In fact, it was a pad bat, and it was a pad bat, and it was beautifully taken. Actually, it was by the short leg. Sorry, my mistake. And that was an absolutely wonderful catch. It was Shadat, in fact, leaping away to his right. A great reflex catch. Took me by surprise because it travelled so quickly. Conway's on his way, and wow. Just as I was a bit critical of the line that the Bangladeshis have been bowling, one comes into the danger region, around about Conway's off stump. He gets an inside edge onto the pad, and a beautiful catch there by Shadat. So Yeah, New Zealand now 42 for 2, and that brings Henry Nicholls to the crease, playing his 55th test. Decent average, Henry Nicholls. Of course, he's also got 9 test hundreds. Sometimes that's a bit overlooked. He's a high quality player, Henry Nicholls. Perhaps doesn't carry the average that he should have with 900s. But yes, just looking at that again, there was a nick onto the pad from Devon Conway, inside edge, and it looped up, and Sharafau at short point, diving away to his right. It was Shahrdar, I should say, took an absolutely beautiful catch, and Mahady was absolutely delighted, the bowler. Here he is, Mahady, bowling to Henry Nicholls, and he gets off the mark immediately, playing the ball into the leg side, into that gap where there's been quite a few runs so far today, and he's gone. It was a perfect catch there by Bipu Shahrdar. He anticipated it beautifully. I'm not sure if he's a natural left or right hander, but it went into his right hand, took it clean as a whistle, as Bill Laurie would say, and Conway had to make his way back to the pavilion for 12. Here's Williamson now. Works that one away into the leg side, runs through for a single. He moves on to 8, Kane Williamson. So Devon Conway hasn't been in great form lately. After Williamson, maybe after Mitchell Williamson, he'd be probably the top 3, one of the top 3 guys. But for a guy of his experience, he should have been used to that. So, and once again, Williams often plays with the angled bat. I know some people like to say he plays it late. Some of the best commentators in the world talk about how Williamson plays late. He actually just angles his bat. Some people play it with a straight bat. He just angles his bat. He doesn't play it late at all, because the ball comes at exactly the same speed. It's just the angle of his bat that determines where the ball goes. It's just his preference. And it serves him well. Although on Gully, off the left arm spinner, who comes in again once more, Tygel. This time Williamson's driving up. Henry Nicholls divides opinion in New Zealand in the various groups that I follow. A lot of people think he shouldn't be there, but bowled there to Kane Williamson again, and compensates this time by bowling into his pads. We're at the end of the 17th over. Williamson's there on 12, with him is Nicholls on 1. New Zealand 50 for 2, going along at a run rate of 2.94. Bails are off, but Williamson's well home. Sure. Could be Sonny Shaw, actually. Has he made a comeback? Very famous fan from times gone by. It's going to be Williamson facing up to Mahady, bowling over the wicket, and Williamson works this one away through the leg side. In fact, there's a man out there in the deep. I didn't see the field change, so Williamson's able to scamper back for 2 as Naeem came round. I think that was probably a result of that 4 in the previous over. Shante decided to put Naeem back onto the boundary. I didn't pick it up initially. He came tearing in, but Williamson was able to get back for 2, which is a good sign for Kane Williamson. Of course, had a terrible knee injury during the IPL, and hampered his ability to play in the World Cup, along with that freak thumb injury. As he faces this next one, just plays that one away to square leg, and there's no run. But he's looking good out there, even at this initial moment. He's actually scoring faster than he did in the World Cup semi-final, which I was at in Mumbai. I don't really want to be reminded of, but that's okay. Here's Mahady bowling to Williamson. He's playing it half forward. Little ball angled in. Zakir at short leg does the fielding there, and there's no run. So Shanto's at slip, the captain, number 99 with the white floppy hat, a la Richie Richardson. Here is Mahady. That's a better line, forcing Williamson to come forward, making him think about where the ball is. That's happened almost, well, maybe 5 or 6 times today, as a New Zealand batsman had to come forward to a ball threatening the line of off stump. And this one's a little bit shorter, and Williamson works that one away in front of point, and there's no one there to field it, so but he didn't time it at all, Williamson. So he only had time for 2 runs. That takes him on to 16 of 21 balls. With him is Nicholls on 2. New Zealand 55 for 2 after 18 overs. Of course, Bangladesh earlier today made 310, losing their last wicket off the first ball of the day. Here's Tygel bowling this time to Nicholls. It's actually a good line, that one. Nicholls had to come forward, play the ball. He was struck outside the line, but it was a good ball by Tygel. Made Nicholls play, and he was able to negate any particular turn there. It was a half-hearted shout for LBW. Very nice seam position. It actually came in with the arm. This time it's angled in further to Nicholls, and he works that one behind square to the man at backward square, and there's no run. I have to say, these Bangladeshis have got a really excellent seam position here. They give every ball an opportunity, but perhaps the pitch at this point in time, early on day 2, just doesn't have the turn that they might have hoped for. But persisting with the spinners, and so far it's worked out. Here is Tygel, calls a counter for Tom Latham, and this time Nicholls is sweeping behind square. There's a man on the, I wouldn't call him on the 45, he's probably on about the 50 or the 60, and he has to come round to the 45 to pick that one up, and Nicholls is able to go through for a single. So New Zealand has a very strong batting lineup in this match. Daryl Mitchell comes in at 4. He averages 57 in tests. Tom Blundell, of course, also a very good player, averages around 40. Here's Kane Williamson this time, working this one away off his pads. Now this time there's no one back. However, he didn't quite time it, and very good fielding out there by Mushfiqur, or a slight misfield, but at least he cut it off, and Williamson comes back for 3. So it's just classic Kane Williamson. This is the way he plays spin. He waits for the ball to come to him, and he works it into the leg side. Not sure I've ever heard him be compared to Mohammad Azharuddin, but he certainly has the same characteristics. He's exceptionally good at playing the ball coming into him from outside the off stump. He just works it into the leg side. And I can think of other batsmen at his level that just don't have the ability to play those same shots. As Nicholls this time faces the next one from Tygel, it's on the line of his leg stump. He works it behind square. Once again he picks up a single. He moves on to 4. New Zealand on to 60 for 2. Interesting that both New Zealand batsmen are wearing helmets, even though there's two spinners bowling. I never really understand why that is. But I don't actually ever remember Kane Williamson wearing a cap or not wearing a hat at all. Can't. I know Tom Blundell sometimes wears a cap, but I don't. Yeah, I don't remember Kane Williamson ever wearing a cap. Certainly earlier this year when I was in Pakistan doing some radio work for Radio Pakistan, he scored 200 in Karachi in pretty hot conditions. I'm fairly certain he wore his helmet for the whole entire innings, which most of it was against spin. I guess that's just the modern player. In fact, I was watching a YouTube clip on Ian Botham the other day, facing Merv Hughes and the Australian pace attack. Never wore a helmet. And wouldn't say it was towards the end of his career, but it certainly wasn't at the start. No fear whatsoever. Here's Tygel bowling to Williamson. Once again, it's angled into his legs, and he works that one wide of mid-on where Mushfiqur does the fielding, and in fact, was there an overthrow there? An unnecessary throw, whatever the case. And didn't quite pick that up, whether it was one or two. Couldn't see whether they came back or not. Whatever the case, it is the end of the 19th over. New Zealand 62 for 2. Williamson's there on 21, and with him Nicholls on 4. So we're going to see another bowling change now. It's going to be Naeem coming into the attack. So Bangladesh's captain Shanto is rotating his spinners here, so it's going to be another right arm off spinner with a different action. It's Naeem coming round the wicket to Henry Nicholls. A bit more of a leap in his action, Naeem, compared to Mahady. Perhaps a little bit more of an orthodox action as well, as Nicholls defends the second one up to mid-on and there's no run. So I think this is a good decision. I think Mahady did a job. He got a wicket, he got Conway out, but I don't think he bowled particularly well. It wasn't particularly threatening. Here's Naeem, and Nicholls is forward this time. No silly point in place. Interesting for a new batsman. Very, very strange. I'd probably be quite annoyed if I was the bowler at this moment when I don't have the high arm action like he has. He only has a short leg and a slip, and Nicholls fends this one away to his short leg. But no silly mid-off when Mahady's just recently taken a wicket of Conway, caught it silly mid-off, or silly point, whichever way you want to call it. Here is Naeem, and he's already bowling a much better length. Nicholls had to play all these balls. There's no gifts, nothing to leave. They haven't all been around the line of off stump, but they've all been there or thereabouts. So one ball left in the over. Here's Naeem, and this one is outside the line of Nichols off stump. He's defending that one away to cover, and there's no run. So very tidy over from Mahady, his first of his spell. None for none. And New Zealand now, after 20 overs, 62 for 2. So just looking at Mahady's spell, he bowled 9 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 22. So in fact, actually, economy-wise, he's the tightest of the Bangladesh bowlers, but yeah, I think he did a job. He came on right from the second over, bowled tidily, I guess, in the sense that he didn't go for many runs, but aside from that one ball where I wouldn't say Conway played a false shot, Mahady just managed to just catch his inside edge. But other than that, he didn't really look threatening at all. So after those few overs from Sharaful, the opening left arm paceman, it's all spin, and I imagine it's going to be like this for quite a long time after this. But this is what professional cricketers are paid for. They've been here many times, perhaps not to this ground. I haven't checked exactly their playing stats, New Zealand, on this ground, but Bangladesh is a place that they've been to many times. And here's Williamson, who's playing his 95th test match, and this one he drives up to mid-off forcefully. He's looked very good so far, Kane Williamson, it must be said. No false shots, nothing half-hearted. Quite a lot coming out of the middle of the bat, and even that one, he drove it up the mid-off. No chance of a run, but he timed it beautifully. Here's Williamson playing back this time, behind point. It's picked up there on a second bounce. So there's no run for Williamson, but once again his feet are moving well. He's moving around the crease, getting into very good positions, making it difficult for the spinners to be able to settle on a line. He seems to have a shot for every ball. Here's Tygel bowling to Williamson. That's a much better delivery. This one's on the line of off stump, angling in. Williamson has no choice but to defend it. So that's kind of exactly where you want to be as a left-arm spinner bowling around the wicket. Forcing Williamson forward, testing his outside edge. Not that it was close to his outside edge. Williamson had the full face of the bat in front of it, but at least he gave himself a chance. Here's Tygel, and that's another very good delivery. This one's a little bit more flighted, a little bit slower. That was only 81.2 kilometres an hour. But he's making Williamson think. And if he can persist with this line, perhaps he might be able to create at least a half chance. And there we go, the next ball, Williamson, actually hard to see what happened there. It was angled, it was probably a little bit further towards his pads. And I think he was struck on the pad actually. It dribbled away towards slip. The DRS timer was on, so perhaps he didn't get bat on that. As we look at the replay now, no, it hit his shoulder actually. He actually hit his shoulder, but that wasn't too far away from the line of the stumps. Here's Williamson, this time defending forward, and there's no run. So that's the end of the 22nd over. A maiden from Tygel, and it's New Zealand 62 for 2. Williamson's there on 21. He's faced 29 balls, and with him Nichols 4 of 13. New Zealand trailing by 248. It's very scenic ground at Sylhet. Very scenic ground. Seems like it's very far removed from the city, from what I can see. As I say, I've not been to Sylhet, so I'm not familiar with the layout of the city. But here's another over starting from Naeem to Henry Nichols. He plays it into the covers, and there's no run. But it does look very picturesque. course, a lot of Bangladeshis in the UK are from Sylhet, a big proportion of them. Here's Nicholls once more, facing Naeem, and there's no run. So a good start by Naeem. He's bowling with good energy. He's got that leap in his action, and his line's been excellent so far. Just probing around off stump. It's exactly where you need to be. This one's a little bit wider, and Nicholls cuts that one away. Unfortunately, as I mentioned in the previous over, there was no short leg when, unfortunately, Zakir has moved from short leg to silly mid off, and Nicholls has cut that one right into his shin. So even though he's wearing a shin pad, in fact it might have hit him on the ankle, that looked very painful. There's no run, of course, but that's not really the concern. Actually, Zakir was hit him right on the foot. It hit him on the David Beckham area, the metatarsal. That's got to be painful. That was a full-blooded shot from Nicholls. That's going to be very painful. Let's just hope it's not more than painful, not broken, whether he can even walk on that. That was right in the front of his foot. Oh, he looks in all sorts of trouble. I've actually broken that bone myself. It's the metatarsal. Obviously I didn't get a properly good view of it, but just from the where he was jumping and the way the ball bounced up, deflected off his foot, it looked like it hit him flush in the metatarsal area, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to carry on here. No, unfortunately he's not. You can't put any weight on that foot at all. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Zakir. Oh, maybe he's being helped off by a couple of his non-playing teammates. Someone's bringing a stretcher out. He seems to be walking okay. He's going to get on the stretcher. That's a good idea. That did look very painful. He'd actually just been fielding on the other side of the wicket in the previous over, and I'd wondered why there was no silly point, and now he's probably regretting the fact that he moved to silly point. Very sad to see that for Zakir. He's fielded brilliantly in those close positions. Such a tough position to field in too. I never ever wanted to field there in my limited playing career. He's wearing shin pads on both legs as well, so it wasn't the fact that he didn't have the protection, but there's only so much protection you can put on your foot, particularly when it hits you flush right in the middle of the foot. So looking at these speeds, Naeem is actually averaging the fastest of the three spinners so far today, on average. He's averaging 89.6, so he's faster through the air as well. Maybe that's a point of difference. And off this next ball, Nicholls is defending into the offside, and there's no run. Here's Naeem once more. And this time Nicholls is driving wide of mid-on, sufficiently wide to enable him to go through for a single. He moves on to 5. Monomore was the man doing the fielding up there. He's also wearing the Richie Richardson style floppy. I say Richie Richardson because he was the guy that used to wear the floppy when he was batting. He never wore a helmet. It was always the floppy, but he's just the guy, I remember it. But when I was a kid, it was always the Greg Chappell floppy actually. Here is Naeem bowling to Williamson. It's into his pads, and Williamson plays that one away into the leg side, and there's no run. So, just come back from the end of the over, 22 overs gone. It's going to be Tijol to start a new over, and this time Nicholls lofts him a long way, well over the boundary, over long on for 6. So, a little bit, how should we say, unexpected, but Nicholls just took a pace forward. The ball was there to be hit. It was on the line of middle stump, angling in, and he just lofted that one away, over wide long on, comfortably over the boundary. 6 runs to Henry Nicholls. Here's Tijol. Once more Nicholls is defending, so let's see what he does off the next one. 6 in a block, and he's defending once more, this time to mid-wicket. So despite that aggressive shot by Nicholls, Bangladesh keeping a pretty aggressive field setting. There's a slip, there's a short leg, there's also a leg slip. Here's Nicholls, well forward this time to a ball on the line of off stump, stretching forward, and there's no run. So 2 balls left in the over. Let's see what Tijol does this time. This time Nicholls plays a false shot there. But this time there's no silly point. The man's moved back onto the other side of the wicket. He's at forward short leg, and Nicholls it came off his pad. Perhaps it was an inside edge, but there was no appeal actually for LBW. But whatever the case, it lobbed up to where short leg or silly point would have been. Here's Nicholls this time. The ball's down the leg side. He looks to whip that one away. It runs away for 4, but in fact it's byes. So he didn't make contact there. So not great by Sohan, the wicketkeeper, but I always feel for the wicketkeepers in those situations, because it was a rubbish ball from the bowler, Tijol, and of course it doesn't go against Tijol's figures. If he doesn't bowl another over, his figures look alright. 1 for 23 off 6, but he bowled a pretty crap ball down the leg side, and he goes unpunished. It goes against the wicketkeeper's name. It does make me wonder sometimes. Sorry, that is the end of the over, by the way. 23 overs gone, 73 for 2. At one point, Adam Perori didn't concede a bye in his career for 2,000 runs, or 2,003 runs, I think it was. I believe it's still a record. And if it is, I doubt it will ever be broken. Wicketkeepers are just not as good as they once were. Here's Williamson this time facing Naeem. Williamson works that one away into the leg side, and there's no run. I might be wrong. It might be 1,003, but whatever the case, it was a lot of runs that Adam Perori stood behind the stumps for without conceding a bye. It's kind of incredible. Here's Williamson this time. That's outside the line of leg stump. He looked to be drawn into a shot, but he didn't go through with it. He just kind of watchfully let it go past his bat, heading towards leg slip, but Soban, the wicketkeeper, came round and cut that one off this time, and there was no run. Here's Naeem, and this time it's played away by Williamson behind square. There's into a big gap there, which, even though he didn't time it perfectly, or perhaps he wasn't even trying to find the boundary, he was able to come back for 2 very comfortably. That takes Williamson on to 23 off 33. Nichols is there with him on 11 off 24. This next one from Naeem is drifting down the leg side. If it was a one-day game, that would definitely have been called a wide. Williamson let it go past his leg stump. It was picked up cleanly there by Soban, and there's no run. This time Williamson's working the ball off his legs. It was on the line of leg stump. He's timed it very well, but it's not going to quite make the boundary. 2 men chasing back there, working as a team. 1 man stopped it, flicked it back. The other man picked it up and threw it into the stumps, but not before Williamson could come back for 3. So, very nice piece of timing there by Williamson. It was picked up just inside the boundary, probably about a metre short. No danger of going over the boundary line, but 3 more runs to Williamson. He moves on to 26. And this next ball, which is in fact the last ball of the over, from Naeem, is faced by Henry Nichols. He's defensively fought, and that is going to be lunch on day 2. So New Zealand go to lunch at 78 for 2. Williamson's there on 26. Nichols is there with him on 11. So in this session, 78 runs scored, 3 wickets conceded. Of course, one of those was by Bangladesh for the very first ball of the day. So a solid start, I guess you could say, to the New Zealand innings. This was an important partnership, of course, for New Zealand after Conway was dismissed, which followed the dismissal of Tom Latham. So I guess you'd probably say it's fairly even. So just looking at the New Zealand scorecard, Latham caught Naeem, bowled Taijul for 21. Latham caught Shahadat, bowled Mahady for 12. Williamson's not out 26. Nichols is not out 11. New Zealand 78 for 2 off 24 overs. And the bowling figures: Sharaful 6 overs 2 maidens, none for 19. Mahady 9 overs 3 maidens, 1 for 22. Taijul 6 overs 2 maidens, 1 for 33. So, sorry, I just didn't pick up the bowling figures. I was reading them off the screen there for the other man, Naeem. I think he bowled 3 overs before lunch. And of course the day started with the very first ball of the day, the Bangladeshi last pair coming out to bat, and Tim Southee trapped Sharaful Islam LBW off the first ball of the day for 13. So Bangladesh added nothing to their overnight tally. So I guess all in all, a fairly even session. I guess the only possible talking point is that the rate that New Zealand scored in the first session today was slower than what Bangladesh scored yesterday. Bangladesh scored 100 in the first session yesterday. New Zealand actually only scored 78 today. So maybe you could argue that Bangladesh has the upper hand at the moment. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll take a break and we'll join you again for the second session after lunch.